Me? The Grand Princess who holds sway over the court single-handedly lifted her young brother onto the throne. But the very first thing he did after his coronation was try to marry my great-grandmother. I slammed the table in fury and objected, never expecting that the usually timid little emperor would, at this moment, break from his norm and show some backbone. Royal sister, I want to marry little Lang Lang. If you refuse, then I won't be emperor anymore. Whether you're emperor or not is up to you. This dynasty gets along just fine with or without you. But I absolutely forbid you to marry her. Sister, since you refuse to marry me, what gives you the right to stop me from marrying her? What gives you the right? You don't love me, yet you won't let me find a substitute. You have no sense of honor. Is this really about honor? Do you have any idea how many years apart you two are? Little Lang Lang is only a little bit older than me. Why exactly are we not right for each other? Anyway, I don't care. Since you won't marry me, I'll spend the rest of my days with her. You. A little bit? That old crone, what's she doing here all of a sudden? Grand Princess, don't panic. He's definitely a stand-in the Emperor found. Look. How much he resembles you. As if cast from the same mold. Nonsense. How could she not? That's my great-grandmother. I don't care where you brought this person from. Now send her back wherever she came from. You've been at the frontier for half a year. I'll give you 3 days to submit a report on your inspection findings. 10,000 words. No. I want to get married. You cold, heartless woman. I'm counting to 3. Fine, I'll write it. So this is the little emperor you've been keeping in the mortal realm, sweetheart. He's not bad looking. Just a bit dim. Great-grandma. The emperor may be a little dim, but that's no excuse to toy with his feelings. I never toyed with him. He was the one who said he wanted me as a stand-in, just to spite someone. That little brat. Oh, right, great-grandma. What are you doing here? My dear grandchild. I've told you, don't call me great-grandma. Call me Little Wave. Don't come without a reason. Just spit it out. I've come to kill someone. When a woman of Mount Wu falls for a mortal, the man must die. Stop it. Mount Wu has no such ridiculous rule. Hee hee. I just made it up for you. Sweetheart. This scent is exactly the same as yours. Where did you get this? This one? From under the pillow of that unhinged regent. This one was in the wheelchair of that gentle chief advisor. And this last piece was under the war god's armor. I heard he carries it on him every day. Oh, right. I heard the enemy kingdom's ruler still has another piece. I'll go grab it in a couple of days. They probably stole them. Oh, really? Our Mount Wu clan can live for up to 1,000 years. With our looks never fading. To keep the secret, women of Mount Wu never let themselves fall for a man. If you do fall for someone, you must die. I haven't fallen for anyone. They're all just good friends of mine. Still stubborn. Out with it. Which one of those men has stolen your mortal heart? Great-grandma. You've lived for hundreds of years already. Why are you still such a gossip? Say whatever you want. Since I've come down the mountain, I have to kill one of them. Oh dear, whatever you say is right. Go on, kill them all. That scene was absolutely spectacular. The eldest princess's undergarment. Things inside the room were heating up. This story isn't suitable for children. Let's switch to another one. Don't stop. This is the most beloved story in the entire capital. It's even been made into a book. The Eldest Princess on top. It's utterly indecent. A disgrace to refinement. Ban it. You must ban it for me. Don't go. I still want to hear the end of the story. This book is pure nonsense. Let's find another tea house. The monkey raised his golden staff and shouted at the demon. Demon, prepare to die. This place will do. To know what happens next, tune in for the next chapter. A new story. The dashing god of war and the fair princess. One night, the god of war took the princess by the hand onto a small boat. Not long after, on what was a calm, windless night, the water's surface began to rock along with the little boat. Go. Back to the palace. I read in the book that when the god of war carried you off the boat that night, you were walking with a limp. Well, who's more formidable, the god of war or the Prince Regent? Oh my, come on, tell me. Who's really stronger? I've gotta have this tea. So who's stronger, huh? Say something. Why aren't you talking? Your Highness, trouble. His Majesty broke his leg practicing horseback archery. You must come see him at once. What, my sweet little puppy got hurt? Grand Secretary. Your Highness. The imperial physician has already been here. His Majesty's dragon body is unharmed, but it takes 100 days to heal bones and tendons. His Majesty needs ample rest, absolutely no strenuous activity. You didn't even spare the little puppy. And now he's in a wheelchair. Strenuous activity in a wheelchair? What are you saying? Don't talk nonsense. I think he looks so wronged. Someone's heartlessly turning their back now. No. This subject feels no wrong. Her Highness the Princess worries for the state and its people and shields her younger brother. I trust in Her Highness's character. But the hour is late. This subject takes his leave. Which book was that story from just now? Let me see it, quick. 3. What are you doing here? We do not wish to see you. Drink your medicine. I won't. 5. I want to take a wife. I'm not writing a reflection essay. You're inhuman. You're unreasonable. You're forcing a confession. You're bullying the weak. And you won't even count to 3. You wish to take a wife? I shall arrange a marriage for you in due course. I want to marry. Then I'll marry little Lang Lang. I'm fond of him. I'll take no one else. Your Majesty. I never imagined your affections ran so deep. That won't do. Choose another. I won't change my mind. If I can't marry her, I'll grow old alone. I'll live with lifelong regret. I'll worry you to death. Annoy you to death. Your Majesty. When mountains crumble, when heaven and earth merge, only then shall I part from you. Do you wish to be the 86th? It's 87. What 86, 87? What nonsense. If you won't let me marry little Lang Lang, fine, then I'll marry you. That empress's gown was made for you anyway. I am your sister. Not by blood. Is this something I'm allowed to hear? What do I do? What should I do? What do I do? What do I do? It's the Grand Secretary. Why hasn't he left yet? What happened to you? How did you end up like this in the palace? There was an assassination attempt. The assailant has been caught. Don't worry. Someone, come quickly. Summon the imperial physician. The late emperor was murdered. Since then, palace security has been increased several-fold. This morning the emperor fell from his horse and broke his leg. Tonight the grand secretary is stabbed and poisoned. Could there be a connection? Qian. That year the peach blossoms were in full bloom. Time flies. It's been years. You've grown up, brighter and more cheerful than before. How wonderful. Brother, we had a thing before, but it's long over, alright? So let's skip the sappy talk now. The grand secretary and I had a past, but it ended long ago. He's just too gentle, that man. Even at moments like that, he's so tender, always asking me if it's okay. I broke up with him out of sheer frustration, though he refuses to accept it's over. Your Highness, the princess, the grand secretary's medicine has arrived. Alright, you may leave. Any distinguishing marks on the assassin? The assassin has a tattoo. A skilled operative from the Daiyue Palace came out of your chambers and stole this. Who the hell threatens the imperial court by stealing my undergarment? Qian. You once said you wanted to experience it on a wheelchair. Do you still remember? The young emperor's court has been completely wrecked by you. Impressive, aren't you? Even hoarding a banned gossip book. Just picked it up outside the city, the only copy in the whole capital. Might as well read it while I can. Sweetie, spill it. How was it really, that wheelchair experience with the grand secretary? Go to sleep. Stop gossiping. It's driving me crazy. 4 men. Which one's the most cost-effective to kill first? I'll go. The Wushan clan really has such a wild, absurd rule? Nonsense. Our clan leader can have a man on her body, but absolutely none in her heart. I didn't grow up in Wushan. Don't bind me with your old rules. When I was suffering, you were nowhere to be found. Now that things are good, you want to drag me back. Suffering? What suffering did you endure? What hardships did you face? At the late emperor's banquet, you were all cozy with the Prince Regent in the hall. Did he force you? Not exactly. During the mid-autumn rendezvous, the god of war carried you off the boat. Did he drug you? He seduced me. In the peach blossom grove, those gentle hands on the wheelchair, he made the first move. Sister, didn't you say you were just ordinary friends with them? Sweetheart, your little puppy looks like he's about to cry. Princess, the Prince Regent has stormed into Lord Zhao's palace. The two are quarreling. It looks like murder out there. Lord Prime Minister, do not forget your place. An outsider living in the palace. Have you no sense of propriety? Are you so eager to serve his majesty? You'd even give up your manhood? How dare you call her Qian? No matter. I'll perform the castration myself. My blade is swift. I guarantee you won't feel a thing. Don't be mean to me anymore. If you're mean to me, I won't take my medicine. The princess will feel sorry for me, and she'll have to coax me into taking it. Princess, what is the meaning of this uproar in the palace? What is the cause? The Prince Regent believes I should not reside in the palace and wants to throw me out. I told him it was by your order, princess. Leaving the palace would be too jarring a journey, and it could cost him his life. I'm the only princess in the palace. My reputation is already ruined. I couldn't care less about gossip. Weren't you on an inspection tour in the south? Why did you suddenly return? There is someone in the imperial city I cannot leave behind. So naturally, I came back. This subject has a plan. This subject will also move into the palace until the grand secretary recovers. Then outsiders will have nothing to say. The princess's reputation is at stake. No, absolutely not. Summon the imperial physician at once. The Prince Regent has fainted. The Prince Regent traveled through the night. He's been struck by a potent poison. He must rest quietly. Well, now everyone's living in the palace. We've got a full house. Goodness. Your men are all tall and strapping, with 8-pack abs. How come they're all so delicate? Seems like they'd be easy to take down. Leave me alone. I need some peace. The book says the Prince Regent fell for the eldest princess at first sight. He heard the princess was to be married off in a political alliance. His unhinged side came out. On the night of the emperor's grand birthday feast, he stormed into the princess's bedchamber and had his way with her. It's a forgery. Actually, the princess had been poisoned by Empress Xianyuan. The Prince Regent realized it was a trap, but he still chose to help relieve the princess. So when the empress led people to burst in, they found the two in a state of bliss. Totally fake. Then what's the real story? Fu Hansheng grew up in a wolf den. After slaughtering his enemies, he learned the Fu family's massacre was ordered by the late emperor. At the late emperor's birthday celebration, he pointed his sword straight at my father's chest. High in rank and power, no one could stop him. So he was the one who killed the emperor? No. I stepped in front of my father. Fu Hanchang demanded I move aside. I refused, just stared at him, unblinking. Not that I was especially devoted to the late emperor. The truth is, the Xianyuan clan was powerful back then. The crown prince was tyrannical and sharp-tongued toward me and the emperor. I could have married off and been free of all worries. But the emperor still needed the late emperor's protection. So did he sheath his sword? He did. He truly broke into my bedchamber on the third day. I'd been bathing for a long time, yet no attendant came to serve me. I turned and called out. Then I saw him reach out and hand me the silk towel. His gaze never wavered. No one barged in that day. And I didn't call for anyone either. Mainly because the man was so handsome. That look of restrained yet erupting intensity was truly a sight to behold. Besides, his power was immense. Finding a shelter wasn't a bad idea either. Later, the late emperor was still killed. The prime suspect was the neighboring kingdom of Dayue, so our dynasty has always been at odds with Dayue. There have been constant skirmishes along the border. I suspect the late emperor was likely killed by someone from Dayue. And you said you were just ordinary friends with them. You even invited them into the palace and instructed the imperial physicians to take good care of them. You're such a fickle woman. The Prince Regent is acceptable. The Grand Secretary is acceptable. So why am I the only one who isn't? You're so unfair. Cut the chatter. Go pour me a cup of tea. Why does my throat feel this terrible? It feels like ants crawling all over my body. You'll be dead soon. If a Wushan tribesperson stays away from Wushan for too long and cannot drink the 1,000-year snow water there, the innate toxin in their blood will consume their life. For a tribesperson like you, cast out since childhood, surviving until now is nothing short of a miracle. Then what are we standing around for? Back to Wushan. Right now, my heart is already racing home. Princess, the Great Yu is sending a princess for a marriage alliance. She's already on the way. The Great Yu's ruler must hate you, using the alliance to assassinate you. Juicy gossip. I'm not leaving. Driver, turn the carriage around. Are you trying to get me killed? The poison won't reach your heart right away. You still have over half a year. He's lived for 300 years. How could he think half a year is long? Nothing to be done. I've never been back to Mount Wu. I can't find the way at all. The Great Yu ruler secretly kept your undergarment. It's definitely not hatred he feels for you. Let me guess. That year he kidnapped you. When did he ever kidnap me? It's written in the book. This is the most popular storybook in the capital. Well, that's just stirring the pot. Back when my father, the late emperor, was still alive, he arranged my betrothal to the Great Yu. My fiancé was the heir, Wanyan Lu. But on the journey for the marriage alliance, I was abducted. The marriage never happened. Who abducted you? The northern border marquis, Xiaoyu, the war god you mentioned. So, on that carriage at the frontier, you and Xiaoyu. I need to see where these two storylines intersect. Our court is hosting the ruler of a neighboring kingdom. Many ministers are present. Little Longlong's gaze swept over everyone, determined to find who stirred my heart. Our two nations have warred at the border for years. Skirmishes never cease. The common people have long suffered. After much deliberation, this ruler believes a marriage could ease tensions at the border. I wonder what His Majesty thinks. That's not a bad suggestion. However, we have no intention of taking consorts. I fear the Great Yu princess will have made this journey in vain. His Majesty jests. This ruler's sisters are already wed. There are no eligible unmarried women in my family. In my humble opinion, I believe I would make a fine match with your esteemed kingdom's grand princess. Who do you think you are? How dare you covet my elder sister? How could you smash your cup in public? You are a sovereign. If you wear your emotions on your sleeve, you are bound to suffer for it in the future. It truly worries me to death. How can I ever rest easy leaving you like this? Then just stay by my side forever. Elder sister, I've made up my mind. If you wish to keep a male consort, it's not out of the question, but I must be the primary one. Where is that 10,000-word report on Border Patrol Insights? What are you laughing at? You damn body double. I won't let you get away with this. Is this kid about to turn to the dark side? At night, I soaked in the tub for a long while, but no servant came to attend me. Just as I was about to call for someone else, a hand suddenly covered my eyes from behind. A familiar scent enveloped me. I had an ominous feeling. Qian. Your bathwater is so cold. Aren't you afraid of catching a chill all alone? I am cold. Would the general care to join me? To be precise, Xiaoyu and I have known each other since childhood. We grew up together. That year, the Dayue heir, Wanyan Lu, entered our kingdom as a hostage, and it was the Xia family army responsible for escorting and guarding him along the way. At that time, my mother, the Empress, was still alive, and Xiaoyu and I were nothing more than playful, fearless children. When Wanyan Liang rose to relieve himself, Xiaoyu and I fixed our eyes on him, one on each side. General Xie had given strict orders beforehand. If he were to be lost, none of us would escape punishment. At bedtime, I originally wanted to sleep in the middle, but Xiaoyu flatly rejected the idea. It was because Wang Yanlu was cunning by nature, and we feared he might slip away in the night. We had no choice but to make him sleep in the center. I thought that made sense, so Xiaoyu and I each took a side and slept with our arms linked through Wang Yanlu's. Our earliest interactions were just that simple and straightforward. Later, we had a falling out, all because his aunt was having a secret affair. Xiaoyu, feeling sorry for his second uncle, held a sword to the man's throat. Seeing how pitifully the two were crying, I was suddenly overcome with a sense of righteousness. I blurted out, "She merely made a mistake any woman in the world could make. What gives you the right to condemn her?" The moment the words left my mouth, he kicked me, candied hawthorn stick and all, straight into the river. From that day on, I no longer liked Xia Wu. Wan Yanlu was kept in the palace, so I would always go find him to play. Later still, Xia Yu came to see me once. He asked if I would be willing to marry him. Out of spite, I refused. Xia Yu was livid with rage. After that, he volunteered to garrison the frontier. He never came back. All these years, have you been well? With you guarding the northern border, no one dares rebel against my imperial brother. In the 2 years since he ascended, he has matured greatly. You've grown up a great deal as well. Qianqian, now that I've returned, I'm not leaving. Your Highness, the eldest princess, the Grand Secretary and the Prince Regent are at it again. How much of a scene can two poisoned men really make? Disturbing my peace. But Miss Lang Lang says she's going to kill them. Last night, the Emperor suddenly threw a tantrum, summoning little Lang Lang to dine with him, just to spite me. Little Lang Lang seized the chance to coax a good deal of information out of him. Early this morning, she took her blade and headed straight for the side hall. She kicked the door open, raised her blade, and was ready to kill. By the time I arrived, several people were already arguing. All the servants had been dismissed outside. Miss Lang Lang asked the noble gentleman, "Which of you seduced Her Highness and stole her heart?" Each and every one of them claimed it was him. Hearing the commotion, the great Moon Sovereign also rushed over to join the excitement. "You've finally arrived. This treasured sword can only taste blood once. Granny never imagined you'd play things this wild. Out with it. Who do you love most?" "All of you are my subjects. Please, do not say such things again. It would break my heart. The princess loves only me. If you must kill someone, Miss Lang Lang, let it be me. Spare the others. Did I give you permission to speak? You dare covet my woman? It seems you've grown tired of living. You tell me, who does your highness favor most?" Your Highness, it is you, of course. The Prince Regent, you've spent your life steeped in madness, making the world pale at the mention of your name. Yet in the end, you deceive yourself like this. Qianqian and I grew up together in the palace. Innocent playmates with no secrets between us. Back then, you were still off in some corner, barely clinging to life. At 10 years old, we made a promise to each other to support one another all our lives. One couple, one lifetime. I can't be bothered to argue with him. He and I parted ways long ago. Though, he was the one who left me. That doesn't sound like a lie. Let's just kill him and be done with it. No, that one is the one I love most. Elder sister. This isn't a dream, is it? Little brother, you've grown up. It's time to shoulder your responsibilities. I returned to the hall, just wanting to rest for a moment, when suddenly someone wrapped their arms around my waist. "You've been poisoned. Is it real or a ruse?" "It's real, so be it. Anyway, I've had my fill of wild adventures. Death is actually pretty much like sleeping, just a longer nap, and even more comfortable. No one to bother you. What the hell are you rambling about?" I planted a kiss on his cheek. Just as the spark was about to ignite, little Lang came rushing over and said, "The young emperor lost too much blood. He passed out." I didn't mean to. I was just teasing him. How was I supposed to know he'd run right into my sword? He fell in perfectly. By the time we pulled him out, he was nearly dead. At that moment, the Hall of Supreme Harmony was filled with wailing. The emperor lay on the bed, barely breathing. That little puppy looked like a complete fool. He was running at first. The moment I said I'd kill the one you love, he threw himself at me. Good thing I pulled back my sword fast. But this blade is a deadly weapon of the Wushan clan. This is the best outcome we could hope for. I remembered when I was little. I was also on the verge of death like this. My mother consort saved me. My child. Would you like to be my daughter? My mother consort was kind and gentle. While she lived, she never let me suffer any grievance. I was indeed drugged by Empress Xianyuan and caught red-handed by her. Because the man was Wan Yanlu, I was charged with colluding with the enemy. It was my mother consort who knelt up 99 steps to beg for my life. After she passed away, I have a duty to look after her only child. Is there any way to save him? Unless someone from Wushan is willing to sacrifice their life for him. All right. Then I will give my life for his. After it's done, don't tell him the truth. Just say I've returned to Wushan. Little Lang gave me a long, deep look. He didn't say much more and immediately performed the ritual. The young emperor's condition soon stabilized. All that remained was a slow, quiet recovery. By then, utterly drained, I lay in Yu's arms. Little Lang glanced at me, his eyes full of pity. You have 3 days left. If you don't return to Mount Wu within 3 days, not even the true immortals could save you. Yu immediately set everything aside and carried me, racing toward Mount Wu. Mount Wu was far, so very far away. We traveled by water, scaled sheer cliffs, crossed vast deserts, and at last walked deep into the forest. There, it was spring all year round, with clear waters and lush mountains. The water of Mount Wu tasted so sweet. Just a few days after returning to Mount Wu, my body gradually began to recover. The Wu Mountain clan lived far from worldly affairs, with hardly anyone dwelling there. Clan members would drink the water to prolong their lives, then return to live among the mortal world. After I offered my sacrifice to the Yellow Emperor, my body could no longer endure long absences from Mount Wu. I had to drink its water daily just to cling to life. All my life, I fought for power and profit, my hands stained with blood. The world cursed me for so long, many court officials harbored grudges against me, and scholars exhausted their ink to paint me as the seductress who brought ruin to the kingdom. After staying a few days on Mount Wu, I felt, to my surprise, an extraordinary sense of ease. Yu, for his part, adapted quickly, holding me in his arms, a blade of lush grass between his teeth. He lay back on the mountaintop. Who says this life is hard? This life is absolutely wonderful. Why are they here? Little sister Qianqian, those people say they've come looking for you. They said they've already sorted out the pecking order. You really are something else. Damn.